Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Today I am participating in Off the Board with pineapple papers, and I am using a couple of different pins on my Pinterest board. First, I'm using this washi tape flags, and then I decided I wanted to use the banner that I make from those flags on this sketch by Allison Davis. So I am starting out with a bunch of products from Chamel's newest line, Never Grow Up. And I am using her products to document my grandson's life, basically. He is about 18 months old now, and or at least at the time of these photos. And I wanted to go ahead and document his love of the outdoors and finding bugs. He's hugely into searching for bugs. Part of that, I'm sure, is because his mom was always into that when she was little, and they have gone on a lot of bug hunts, especially since we have been sheltered in place for a while, and they can't really go places, so they are taking advantage of what they can do in the yard. And so I thought this paper from Chamel was perfect. It's the one with all the leaves, and then it's got ladybugs on it, and I just think it's perfect for this. And then I decided to pull in the B side of this, the paper that has all the birds on it, and it is an orange plaid with a pink background. So it reads really as orange quite a bit, but there is pink in it. And I thought it was perfect because his jacket has this turquoise and orange color on it, and so I thought that was going to just be the perfect thing. And then I've got these 4 photos. I've printed the color 3 at 2x3s, and then the larger one is a 3x4. And they are all, like I said, matted with white cardstock. And then I decided I'm going to go ahead and start working on the banner because I know I want to kind of figure out the placement and what I'm going to use for that. So I'm using this washi tape, but instead of just sticking it to itself around the string that I'm using, I'm putting it onto some white cardstock first, and that's because the washi tape is very translucent, and especially the one with the white flowers on it, I don't really want a lot of the background stuff showing through. I want it to read as white. So I went ahead and I just put those down onto some pieces of white cardstock, and then I cut them, and then I'm going to fold them over the baker's twine, and I'm using a green and white baker's twine. And so I will work on that a little bit more later. I just kind of wanted to make sure I had enough pieces of washi and figure out which ones I was going to use so that I knew what other kinds of papers that I wanted to pull in for the rest of the layout. So I'm using the star background paper for another mat on the larger photo. So that one's going to have actually multiple mats on it. That star paper is from Field Trip. That's the prior collection that Chamel released, and it goes really well with Never Grow Up. They both have bugs in them. Field Trip has a lot of other things as well, like astronauts and dinosaurs. But this particular piece goes extremely well. And so I decided to pull that piece in, and then I am pulling in other pieces from Field Trip collection, and that is the green one that I'm backing that paper, the photo with. And what I did was I put a layer of foam between the white matting and the star paper, so that particular photograph has a little bit of lift to it. And I did that because I wanted a little bit more emphasis on that. And in the photo, it just really kind of shows that he's really looking at the snail on the leaf that my daughter's holding for him, and he's kind of just inspecting it very patiently, and he just has this look of kind of wonder, wow, that's really cool. And so I'm pulling in also a 3x4 card from the Field Trip collection that says Don't Bug Me, and I've kind of been waiting to use that one because I know he loves bugs, and I was just waiting for the perfect photos to come across from my daughter, and so those ones worked out perfectly. And then I'm also going to back the other 3 photos in this green paper, and that is because the photo to the far right and the far left are both going to overlap that green leaf paper that's the border around the outside, and I wanted something that was going to just provide a little bit of differentiation between the white of the mat on the photo and the white background paper of the border. And then I also did off camera a little bit of stitching. When I put the orange plaid paper down, I stitched around it in black thread just to bring a little bit of added extra detail to it, and I think that the sketch did call for that, and I really do like how it looks. So I also went ahead and did some stitching around that 3x4 card that says "Don't Bug Me," and it's not perfect stitching, it's a little wonky, but that's okay. It just kind of lends itself to the handmade look, and I like how it came out. Then once I get these banner pieces where I want them, I will also add some stitching just across the top of all of those to kind of tie everything in together. And then I'm going to use another piece of the washi that has the feathers on it. I have a piece that is going on the bunting, but I want to add a piece of it over to these banners to kind of pull that in as well, and that adds a little bit of turquoise to the look. And then I've got the one that's got the green on, I think it's navy. It doesn't look quite black, but it's little green leaves anyway. I've got that one, and then I was looking for the fourth little piece of paper that I could use there for those banner pieces, and I've had this piece of washi on my desk for a while. It's actually a roll of washi that I use to put all of like the leftover strings on the back of the layouts. I use it for that kind of stuff. It's not really my favorite washi, but it goes perfectly with this layout. So it was just sitting there and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try that and see how that works. And so that's the green and turquoise and white striped one. And I really like how it came out. It came out perfect. And so I decided to go ahead and use that. And then on the bunting piece that I'm going to do, I'm using another piece of that feather washi tape, so that's going to tie things together perfectly there. And then once I create the bunting, I'm going to fold all of the pieces of paper over the green and white baker's twine, and then I'm going to run it through my sewing machine and stitch along the top of all of those pieces of washi tape. And so that's just going to add more interest and tie everything together with that black stitching. Now, while I'm working on that, let me just tell you a little bit about this hop. This is Off the Board with Pineapple Papers. Crystal Barrett started this last July, where she did something off of her Pinterest board every day for the month of July. She used it as inspiration on a scrapbook layout, and we decided to keep it going because a lot of us played along with her and we really liked it. And we do it the last Wednesday of the month. And so if you are enjoying this video, I really highly recommend you check out all of the ladies that are listed in my description box down below and go see what they've used for their inspiration off of their Pinterest boards. We all have stuff pinned on there that we like. We pin it on there and then we never go back and use it. So there's a lot of ladies that will use sketches. They'll use other people's layouts. They'll use Crystal's uses like kitchen designs. So you know, all kinds of things like architecture that are inspiring us to create different things on our scrapbook layouts. So go check out everybody down below and leave them a little bit of love as well. Now you can see I'm working on the bunting again, and I know I want to pull in a couple more pieces of something, and I don't quite know what it is, but I decide to use another piece of that green and turquoise piece that I use on the banners that are hanging down, and I think that's just going to tie everything together. And I do have a little flag on there. It's the furthest one to the right on the bunting that has, it's pink with like little leaves and ladybugs, and that's actually two pieces of very thin washi laid down next to each other. And I'm going to add another one of those, but in a single strip, so it'll be a really narrow little flag hanging down. And I really like how this comes together. I like that there's different widths, different heights, and you know, the different colors. It kind of like just repeating the pattern of the feather washi and the striped washi just kind of brings everything together across the top. Now as I lay that down, you can see that there's the addition of the black thread. I did that off camera, and I really like how it looks. I like the added detail. And then the baker's twine, I just put a little overhand knot on each of the ends of it, and then I didn't have to actually stick those knots down, because what I did was I put the adhesive behind each of the little flags that are hanging off of it. So that worked out really well, and it keeps everything in place. Now I'm going through the ephemera pack from Never Grow Up, and there's so many little cute bug things, and I like how that net looks right there. It doesn't stay there, but now that I'm looking at it, it could have stayed there and it would have been just fine. I don't know why I ended up not using it there. The little jar seemed a little bit too big to me for this particular layout, and I think that's why I didn't use the net as well, as it looked a little bit too big. If it had been a little bit smaller, I would have used it. But I'm going to have more photos of him playing with bugs in the garden and stuff, so I'll use those on another layout, I'm sure. So I decided to go ahead and use some of these puffy stickers. I'm using the little snails because that's what he's looking at. There is one photograph, the third photograph from the left has a worm in it rather than a snail, but the other three are snails. The very first one is a bowl of fruit and leaves and dirt, and that is a little habitat that they created for the snail to feed him. And it's really funny because my daughter used to do the exact same thing when she was little. She'd get a little pie tin and she'd put food in it, she'd put the snails in it, and then my son had like cars with trailers and stuff, little trucks and trailers, and she'd put the snail inside the trailer and race it around like she was going for a ride. These were her little friends when she was growing up. Apparently they still are. And the funny thing is that just maybe 3 weeks before these photos were taken, I was at their house, and as we were walking up the front walk, there was a snail on the ground, and it had been raining, and she picked the snail up and she moved it over to a plant so that it wouldn't get stepped on. And it just made me smile to myself, like some things never change. She just really loved those little animals, and she still does, and she's teaching him to love them, and I think it's just the cutest thing. So I'm adding a little orange flag up at the top there, or banner piece that says Curiosity, and I have added one to the top of the main photo that says Back to Nature, and one next to the title piece that says Get Outside. And then I've added some enamel dots, and that's pretty much going to do it. I'm going to add my journaling to the right of the 3x4 card, and you don't see it here, but you see it in this close-up. And I just basically tell the same story I just told you guys on screen, or on camera here, about her love and how she's teaching him to love these little guys too. And that's pretty much going to do it. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. Don't forget to give some love to the ladies on the other channels, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.